crazy, his coaches will always say if the ball's around, he doesn't, care about how it's going to affect him, hurt himself. He has no regard for his human safety when a ball's around. And it was so true. Same with the snowboard and everything else. So he loved that whole parachuting, all that kind of stuff. And now then after hitting a couple trees, he's like, okay, I'm done at 22. I'm done with jumping. And then now he's, so he went to the other side, and then now he's going to an actual hospital next, which is going to be really different for him,
Right.
because it's a totally different environment. Being out in the field with that group is totally different than the hospital group. And he's going to understand that most people don't like the hospital group. They like to stay out in the fields because it's so much, I don't want to say easier, but less political.
Yeah, it's just different. Like, and there's a lot of people who would prefer the hospital or the clinical side who would not fare well in the field, and you definitely see that too. Yeah, it's very different roles, different people, I think. So yeah, I think it's better that they're taking that approach.
And what year did you join? What time were you in?
2017, and then I switched over to Navy in early 23, and then got out at the end of 24.
So was it easy to go from Army to the Navy and the Canadian? Because sometimes here it's much harder to go from one to the other services.
Yeah, it took probably 6 to 8 months. But most of that's just kind of like paperwork processing time. Like, because I was going into the dive trade, I had to do all the like pre-dive medical. So dive and air crew medical standards are fairly similar. So it's a little bit more in depth. They do like spirology and pulmonary function tests and stuff like that. So there was that piece, but yeah, other than that, it's just paperwork. It was pretty easy. They were good too. They attach posted me to the dive unit before the transfer actually went through. So I was a Army medic attached to the dive unit, so I was able to like hang out with them and kind of learn stuff before actually going. I started my dive course still as a medic, and then my transfer officially went through about halfway through. So yeah, it was pretty easy. It took a while, but it was not terrible.
And just to be clear, what do you do on the dive crew?
So the actual trade is port inspection diver. So it's a Navy reserve trade only.
So I'm sorry, you were in the reserves?
Yeah, so I joined the Army Reserves when I was 17. I did 3 different full-time contracts with that. I'm not fully sure how it works in the States, but there's kind of 3 different contracts within
It's
the
different
reserves.
in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have like Class A, which is like your typical, you show up, do like a weekend a month, show up once a week kind of thing. There's Class B, which is full-time. Some guys are on like long-term lifetime Class Bs, so they're like full-time forever, but still in the reserves. And then there's Class C, where you get attached to or like put into a reg force unit. So Class B is typically either like longer term employment or like going away for training. And then Class C is usually more like operational. I did 3 different Class Cs. And then I did a bunch of Class Bs, kind of just different training and courses.
Usually it's only here when you get called up to go on a deployment.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that, they were all Class A, where they didn't, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. That's all they did. And they never got anything. And then they switched how our service was done, that they pushed so many people in reserve so that they could have a fighting force, and all the reserve people didn't understand that's what that meant. And more reserves have been over in the sand more than active duty.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works.